Hello, UQuest family. I ignored these signs that I'm going to talk about today for years because I thought that they were just part of getting older and they were part of the womanly life process that I'm in right now. However, after learning that they weren't and that it wasn't just part of getting older or having worked as a nurse in a nursing management for as long as I did, along with the stress of being a single mom, I learned that it wasn't that I needed a different position. It wasn't that I needed another vacation or more coffee to get me through the day or even more motivation. Instead, it was my body trying to tell me that something was off. And today I'm going to share the 5 signs that told me specifically, and there's way more signs, but these are the 5 signs that told me specifically that my nervous system had been carrying too much stress for far, far too long. And I'm going to share 3 things that help me start recovering and continues to help me recover. But I want to disclose this before I go any further, because as always, today's information is educational and it isn't meant to replace any medical advice. Many of these symptoms can have a lot of medical issues and causes to them. So if you're experiencing any ongoing or concerning symptoms related to what I talk about today, it's really important that you talk to your healthcare provider because again, this is educational and not meant to diagnose anything. So, what does chronic stress actually do to you and your body? I think I think there's a lot of people out there that believe stress is just something that we feel emotionally. But stress actually changes what your brain and your body prioritize depending on the amount of stress that you're going through. When your when your brain senses danger, perceived or real, whether it's a true emergency or months and years of emotional pressure, your brain doesn't know the difference. And when it senses that danger, it activates your sympathetic nervous system, which is also known as your fight or flight response. And when that happens, your body increases stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline so that you can respond to that danger that you're experiencing and run away from it if you need to. Again, because our bodies and our minds don't know the difference between real and perceived threat. And yeah, that elevated those elevated stress hormones are helpful in the short term, but they become a problem when your nervous system never fully gets the message that you're safe again and can relax. And instead of cycling back into that rest and recovery and digestion phase, the healing phase, it stays on high alert. And when that happens, your body eventually starts waving little red flags all over the place, trying to get your attention, which is what leads to the signs that I'm going to talk about next that I was experiencing. And again, these are just some of the signs that were more prominent to me. The first one was loud noises. They suddenly bothered me. And I remember I can't count how many times driving in the car with my daughters and they would love listening to loud music. What teenager doesn't, right? And just the music playing loudly started bothering me. And I started asking, why is this bothering me so much? It's not that anything had changed around me. It was that my nervous system had become so sensitive to that loud noise, that loud music. The reason being, when you're chronically stressed, your brain becomes hypervigilant. So it starts to constantly scan for threats, for potential threats, not even real threats, but potential threats. So that means normal sounds, even louder music, can start feeling really overwhelming. And that's why loud noises started bothering me and loud music started really bothering me. The next sign, and this one was huge, my fuse, my temper got shorter and shorter. And it's not that I was necessarily an angry person. I just had less capacity for what my body could tolerate. Again, because when your nervous system is overloaded, even tiny, tiny inconveniences can feel huge because we're already operating at our capacity. The third sign I noticed, and this started years ago, I woke up every morning around 2 a.m. It was like clockwork. 2 a.m. Oh, it's time to get up. Oh, no, it's not time to get up. And my mind just started, and it made it very difficult to get back to sleep. And this sign is really, really common. Stress can disrupt our sleep cycle. And a lot of people wake up in the morning hours with racing thoughts. So if that's you, comment racing or sleep so I know it's you. Then when we get poor sleep, it makes our nervous system even more reactive the next day because we didn't give our body and our mind the time it needed to regenerate, kind of like I talked about last week. The fourth sign I noticed was my irritable bowel syndrome, or IBS, went into overdrive. Our guts and our brains are constantly communicating through what's called the gut-brain axis. And when we are under chronic stress, digestion a lot of times slows down, gets dysregulated, patterns get disrupted. And for some people, that looks like constipation. For others, it could be diarrhea or stomach pain or bloating or worsening IBS symptoms. All because our gut and our brain are constantly in communication with each other. And the fifth sign was that I couldn't ever fully relax without feeling guilty. Even when I had free time, I couldn't enjoy it. And not that I had that much free time. Being a single mom of 3 girls, but when I tried to relax, I couldn't. I felt like I always needed to be doing something productive. And it's not that I was lazy, not at all. It's because my nervous system became so used to being in survival mode that slowing down even a tiny little bit felt uncomfortable. And this is what I wish someone had told me. First off, that none of these signs meant that there was something super wrong with me or that I was weak. They didn't mean that I lacked discipline. They were signs that my nervous system had been carrying too much for far too long. So now, what are some easy ways that you can help your nervous system start to recover? And these are easy things that anybody can do. The first one, you can't think your way out of stress. You just can't. I know a lot of people probably think that solving stress means you have to think of all these things that you have to be doing. Well, you don't. Your nervous system responds to what it experiences. So, the first tip is something simple as a breath. In through your nose for 5 seconds, out through your mouth for 7 seconds. It's super simple breathing. Or maybe you need to take a walk or do some stretching. Getting outside, especially getting outside, can send so many safety signals to your brain. So, breathing is one of the simplest ways that you can calm your body and get back into the rest and digest mode. So that your sympathetic nervous system can relax, which activates the parasympathetic. Again, that rest and digest mode. Tip number 2, reduce the unnecessary stress your brain is carrying. So much of what we experience and the stress that we go through isn't from one big event. It's not from just one big catastrophe. It's actually death by 1,000 paper cuts. Saying yes when we mean to say no. Trying to make everyone else happy before we worry about us. Feeling responsible for everyone else's emotions. And never giving ourselves permission to take a break, to rest. All those are so very necessary for our nervous system. And tip number 3, start listening to your body so that it doesn't have to scream at you. I ignored my body's whispers. And the louder they got, the harder it has been for me to recover. But I am recovered. And now I ask questions like, what does my body need from me today? What do I need from me today? What am I feeling? And allowing myself to recognize what my body is trying to tell me. Maybe it's a conversation you need to have with someone or a boundary that needs attention. Asking yourself, what would taking care of me look like today? So if you recognized yourself in any of these 5 signs, comment signs, or even let me know which one. Or if there's one that I didn't mention that you've experienced or are experiencing. And I want you to know you are not broken because you have these signs. Your nervous system has just been working overtime, trying to protect you. But the beautiful thing about all of this is that our bodies, our minds, our brains, and our nervous systems are adaptable. And with consistent practice, you can become more resilient and have a greater ability to be able to recover from this stress, which is exactly why I created the Overwhelm Reset Challenge, where over 5 days, I will coach you so that you know what it takes to stop living on autopilot, build that trust back in yourself again, and create a life that doesn't feel like you're constantly in overwhelm. That's going to help reduce that stress so you don't have these signs anymore. So if you're ready to stop surviving and start feeling like yourself again, comment overwhelm and I'll send you all the details for that challenge. Until next time, have a wonderful, wonderful day relieving these signs.